The night my world ended smelled like rain, burnt coffee, and another woman on my mate's skin. Lyra, I'm sorry. Kael's voice shook, but his hand didn't when he slid the silver promise ring from my finger. The same hand that had traced my hips, splayed over my stomach, whispered against my skin that he wanted a house full of pups. With me. Now, his eyes were on the human girl standing behind him. She flinched when our gazes met, guilt and wonder tangled in her scent. My wolf chose her, he said. She's my fated mate. The packed cafe kept humming around us. Cups clinked, espresso hissed. Someone laughed at a joke 2 tables away. How could everyone keep breathing when my lungs had turned to stone? We've been courting for 4 years, I managed, my fingers numb around the small paper cup. Our mating ceremony is next full moon. I'm carrying your... The word stuck. Our alpha stepped into the cafe at that exact moment, as if summoned by my shame. Rafe Vale. The Playboy Alpha. The man every she-wolf secretly watched, and every father silently warned his daughters about. The wolf who never kept a lover more than a week, and never made promises he couldn't enjoy breaking. His gaze skimmed over the room, bored, amused, until it landed on Kael, then on the human girl, then finally on me. His nostrils flared once. The gold ring of his irises flashed. He smelled it. My secret. His jaw tightened for a fraction of a second before his lazy smile slid back into place. Problem? Rafe asked, voice smooth, dangerous, directed at Kael, but eyes locked on me. Kael's fingers tightened around the human's hand. No, Alpha. Just clearing things up. Rafe's gaze flicked between my bare ring finger, my shaking shoulders, and the human girl clinging to Kael like he was the only oxygen left in the world. Oh, Rafe murmured, looks like you already have. His eyes came back to me. I tried to hold myself together, tried not to reach for him like a drowning woman grabs at a passing boat. Because I knew 2 things, standing there in the smell of burnt coffee and betrayal. My mate had abandoned me with his unborn child, and the Playboy Alpha who'd just watched it happen would be the only wolf powerful enough to save us, if I was willing to pay his price. Before I tell you what that price was, and how it twisted my life, my child, and my heart forever, make sure you hit subscribe, tap the like button, Tito, and drop a comment telling me, would you take help from a Playboy Alpha if it was the only way to protect your unborn child? Because that's exactly the choice I had to make. My name is Lyra Hale, and I was never supposed to be a cautionary tale. I was supposed to be safe, beta-born, well-behaved, invisible enough that the pack stopped whispering about the scentless girl whose mother drowned in the river. Then Kyle found me. He was the future Gamma, all sunshine grin and easy laughter. The only one who didn't flinch when he realized my scent was wrong, dampened, blurred, like the river had washed away something important the day it took my mother. He sat with me at lunch when no one else would. He brought me coffee on exam mornings. He walked me home the night my father forgot my birthday, and my stepmother lost track of time organizing her perfect daughter's party. I fell in love with him slowly, then all at once. When he asked to court me, I thought it was a joke. When he asked the Alpha for permission to mate me, I believed I was finally safe. No more side eyes, No more whispers, just a simple future. Mate, pups, pack. And then my period was late. I stared at the test in the bathroom, listening to my heartbeat pound like a terrified rabbit in my chest. There it was, the faint pink line that meant everything was about to change. I wanted to tell Kale in 100 cute, perfect ways. A onesie hidden in his drawer, a note on his pillow, a whispered confession under the stars. Instead, I found out about his fated mate 2 days later, in a cafe that suddenly felt too small to contain my shame. He left me with our unborn child. The pack laws were clear. An abandoned, pregnant she-wolf without a mate was a problem. A liability, a weakness. We didn't keep weaknesses. My father's face went grey when I told him. My stepmother's mouth pinched like she'd bitten into something rotten. "You'll either be claimed," she said coldly, "or you'll be cast out. And your child won't survive out there, Lyra." There was only one wolf in the pack with enough power to bend those rules until they screamed. Rafe Vale. Our Playboy Alpha. The man I'd sworn I would never ever owe anything to. Until the night my father knocked on his door and offered me up like a debt the Alpha had never asked to collect. The Alpha's house didn't look like a home. It looked like a dare. Stone and glass and shadow carved into the hill above the packlands, lit from within by warm lights that felt like lies. My father walked 2 steps ahead, shoulders rigid, the scent of fear hiding under his aftershave. "Don't speak unless you're spoken to," he muttered. "Don't argue. Don't contradict him." "And if he says no?" I asked. He didn't answer. The guards at the door stepped aside the second they scented him. Beta Hale. Loyal. Useful. Never a problem until his eldest daughter turned into one. We waited in a room that was all dark wood and silver frames. The low hum of voices leaking from behind double doors. Laughter. Male. Female. Familiar. Rafe's. I'd heard that laugh at bonfires, at celebrations, drifting from the club in town when I'd walked past with Kale's arm around my waist. It was always followed by other sounds, clinking glasses, flirting, the rustle of bodies too close. "Alpha will see you now," one of the guards said. Rafe's office was bigger than our entire house. Bookshelves, whiskey, a desk that looked like it had survived several wars and won all of them. And behind it, slouched in his leather chair like it was a throne he'd never asked for but learned to enjoy anyway, was Rafe Vale. His shirt was unbuttoned at the throat, sleeves rolled up, revealing strong forearms dusted with scars and ink. His hair was a careless, dark mess, like someone had just run their hands through it. Maybe they had. His eyes, warm brown rimmed with alpha gold, flicked up as we entered. "Beta Hale," he drawled. "What brings you here at midnight? Did one of my patrols forget to file a report, or are you finally here to tell me to stop corrupting the youth?" His gaze slid to me, and the teasing edge softened. Just a little. "Lyra." Heat climbed up my neck. "Alpha." He didn't like when we used his name. He liked the title. He'd earned it with blood and broken bone, taking the role after his father died in a rogue ambush. My father cleared his throat. "We have a problem, Alpha, and a solution to offer." Rafe leaned back, expression sharpening. "I'm listening." "Kale broke his courting vow," my father said quickly, like ripping off a bandage. He abandoned Lyra for his fated mate, a human. No surprise flickered over Rafe's face. Of course he already knew. Alphas always knew. And? Rafe asked. The word was soft, heavy. My father's scent soured. She's pregnant. Silence. For a moment, all I heard was the ticking of a clock on the far wall and the faint crackle of the fire. Something shifted in Rafe's eyes, something cold and bright. He didn't claim her. Father rushed on. The match is broken, she's unprotected. If the council hears of this, they'll demand punishment. Rafe finished. For Kyle, for you, for her, for the baby. My hand went instinctively to my stomach. It wasn't showing yet. But wolves didn't need to see to know. They smelled truth. They scented life. Rafe's gaze followed the movement. His nostrils flared again. The gold in his eyes deepened, like a sun sinking behind clouds. Lyra. His voice was different now. Lower, honest. Did he force you? I shook my head. No, I chose him. And he chose someone else. The words sliced clean. Yes, I whispered. Rafe drummed his fingers once on the desk, thinking. Then he stood, moving around it with lazy, predatory grace, until he was close enough that I had to tilt my head back to meet his gaze. He smelled like smoke and pine, and something sharp underneath. Wolf, coiled and leashed. Look at me, he said. I already was. Do you want this child? Yes. Even if it makes your life harder? My throat closed. It's already made my life impossible. I still want it. Something dangerous softened in his face. For a heartbeat, Rafe didn't look like the Playboy Alpha, the man who flirted with danger because it flirted back. He looked like a wolf who'd been forced to grow up too fast and never stopped running after. He turned to my father. You came here to offer her, didn't you? My father stiffened. She needs a mate. The pack needs stability. You need an heir eventually and... Stop. Rafe's command cut through the air. His gaze came back to me. What do you want, Lyra? No one had asked me that. Not since the test turned pink. I want my child to live, I said. I want to stay in the pack. I don't want Kale punished for something he couldn't control, but I won't let my baby pay the price for a bond I didn't get. His lips twitched. You'd rather take it yourself? I already am. Silence stretched between us. Then he exhaled slowly, like he'd just made a decision he'd been walking toward for a long time. Fine, Rafe said. I'll take the scandal. I'll take the council's questions. I'll take you. My father sagged in relief. Thank you, Alpha. We're forever... But, Rafe continued, and the room snapped tight again. I don't do charity. If I save you, Lyra Hale, you'll pay my price. My heart stumbled. What price? Rafe lifted my chin with 2 fingers, trapping me in his gaze. The child will be mine. He died quietly. In name? In law? In story? You will never publicly speak of another father. Ever. The impact of it hit like a physical blow. You will become my Luna. He went on. You will stand by me in every council, every challenge. You will not flinch when they whisper that you trapped me. You will not run back to Kyle when it hurts. You will be mine in front of the pack, even if I never... He didn't finish the sentence, but his eyes flickered briefly down my body to the slight curve where our secret future slept. Even if you never what? I asked, voice shaking. He smiled, empty and sharp. Even if I never act like the mate you wanted. Can you live with that? I thought of exile, of rogues, of a tiny body in my arms with no pack, no healer, no protections. I thought of Kale's hand slipping from mine. Yes, I lied. I can. Good, Rafe said. Because the claiming ceremony is at dawn. Dawn smelled like wet earth and shock. The pack gathered in the clearing, faces turned toward the stone altar, where matings were blessed and rogues executed. It depended on the day. Today, it was both. Rafe stood beside me, bare-chested, tattoos curling over his skin like shadows that had decided to stay. His hand rested light on my lower back, possessive enough to be seen, not kind enough to be comforting. My white dress felt wrong. This wasn't the ceremony I'd imagined. Hand in hand with Kale, surrounded by soft smiles and gentle teasing. This was a show. The murmurs sliced the air. She was Kale's. She's pregnant. He's claiming another wolf's damaged goods. Maybe the Alpha finally slipped. A low growl rippled under Rafe's skin. He didn't move, but his aura tightened, pressing down on the pack until the whispers strangled themselves. The elder cleared his throat and started the ritual. The words washed over me. Bond, loyalty, protection, eternity. They sounded like promises carved into stone. Rafe didn't look at me when he spoke his vows. His voice was steady, low. I will protect what is mine, he said, even from itself. I swallowed, then spoke mine, the ones we'd rehearsed. I will stand at your side, I said, even when the ground shakes. Even when I'm shaking. We sliced our palms, joined hands, blood and blood. Pack magic hissed through the air like sparks catching dry leaves. Do you accept this bond? The elder asked. Yes, we both said. The world shifted. It wasn't the full weight of the mating mark, no burning bite at my neck, no electric snap of wolves fusing. This was something quieter, older. A political bond, sealed by ritual and power, not yet by flesh. The pack howled as the elder declared me Luna. Some cries were joyful. Some were shocked. Some were furious. My eyes found Kale in the crowd. He stood beside the human girl, fingers threaded through hers, eyes locked on mine with something like apology. Rafe's hand tightened on my waist. His price, I reminded myself. When the ceremony ended, wolves surged forward, offering congratulations that smelled like curiosity, resentment, barely veiled judgment. My stepmother hugged me too tightly, whispering, "Don't waste this, Lyra. It's more than you deserve." Rafe kept me close, the perfect alpha, smiling just enough, saying all the right political niceties. But when we finally escaped to the house, his smile dropped like a mask slipping to the floor. "Your things will be moved to the Luna Suite," he said, voice flat. "You'll sit in on the council this afternoon. We'll walk the border together at dusk. You'll sleep here tonight." "In your room?" I asked. Something dark flickered in his eyes. "In your room, down the hall from mine." "You said I'd be yours in front of the pack," I said quietly. "What about behind closed doors?" Rafe's gaze swept over me, not lingering long enough to be indecent, not pulling away fast enough to be dismissive. "Behind closed doors," he said, "is where I keep my ghosts, Lyra. You don't want to meet them." "You think I don't already live with mine?" I snapped. His jaw clenched. For a heartbeat, I thought he'd snap back, remind me that I was the one who'd come begging. Instead, he exhaled. "Eat something," he said. "You look like you'll pass out. And try not to murder any elders today. They bite." He turned to leave. "Rafe!" I called after him before I could stop myself. He paused, hand on the doorframe. "You said the child will be yours," I said. "What does that mean for Kale?" Rafe didn't turn around. "It means he learns to live with consequences, same as anyone else. And if he wants to see the baby." Rafe looked back at me then, and the softness I'd glimpsed in his office was gone, replaced by pure alpha steel. "Then he'll see it," Rafe said, from the crowd, at my side. As my heir. "Rafe, the first lesson you need to learn as Luna," he cut in, "is that feelings don't override safety. Not yours, not the pack's, not the child's." He walked out, leaving me alone in a house that now belonged to me on paper, and still felt like a stranger's skin. I pressed a hand over my stomach. "Little one," I whispered. What have we gotten ourselves into? My first week as Luna was a blur of meetings, accusations, and smiling until my face hurt. The elders pushed. They always did. "An unmarked Luna," one hissed. "No mating bite, no consummated bond." "We should smell the alpha on her," another grumbled. "Instead, she still smells like—" Rafe's growl rolled through the council chamber like thunder. "Finish that sentence," he said softly, "and you'll be smelling my teeth." They didn't finish. He never snapped at me in front of them, never belittled me, never made me feel small. But when the doors closed, he went distant. Nights alone in the Luna suite. Days filled with his shadow, his scent in hallways, his voice in training yards, without ever really touching him. Sometimes I caught him watching me during meetings. His gaze would drift to the way I rested a palm over my stomach, to the way I stood a little closer to the window when the room felt too tight. He never asked how I was, not directly. Instead, he slid things into my days like quiet apologies. A stack of books about lunar duties on my bedside table. A tray of food waiting when I came back from a council session that had run too long. A blanket draped over my shoulders when I'd fallen asleep at the desk in my office, trying to learn laws that had never been meant for me. He was paying his price too, I realized. One evening, just as the sun dipped low, painting the forest in bruised gold, he knocked on my door. "Border run," he said. "You're coming." I blinked. "Now? Like this?" I gestured at my dress. Soft cream. More suited to sitting and smiling than running through woods. He smirked. "You have 10 minutes to change, Luna. Don't make me wait." I changed. Leggings. Boots. One of the training tops from the closet that still smelled faintly of some other Luna who'd never existed. The forest welcomed us with cool air and the hush of leaves underfoot. The patrol wolves bowed their heads when we joined them, then loped ahead, giving us space. "Why bring me?" I asked as we walked. "Is this another lesson in being seen?" "In part," Rafe said. "They need to see you here, not just at altars and tables." out where it matters. And the other part? He was quiet for a moment. The bond may not be finished, he said, but you're mine enough that if something happens at the border, they'll go through you to get to me. I want to know how you move in the dark. I snorted. Romantic. His lips twitched. You didn't marry me for romance, Lyra. Marry? I echoed. Is that what we're calling this? He glanced over. What would you call it? A contract. A contract sealed in blood. With a man who smelled like lipstick and whiskey the first time I saw him after our ceremony. Rafe stopped walking. The patrol's footsteps faded ahead of us. I haven't touched anyone since that night, he said quietly. The air shifted. What? He ran a hand through his hair, looking more boy than Alpha for a heartbeat. I went out. I drank. I thought, if I couldn't sleep, maybe I could forget. But I didn't. I couldn't. Couldn't what? I asked, heart thudding. He met my gaze. Couldn't be that man again. The Playboy Alpha, draped in lovers and rumors. You have a reputation to maintain, I said lightly. Because the alternative was letting hope crack me open. He smiled. But it was tired. Maybe I'm tired of it. We walked in silence for a while, the forest breathing around us. You don't have to be a good man, I said eventually. Just don't be a cruel one. Is that what you think I am? He asked. I thought of the price he'd demanded, the way he'd claimed my child with his name and his law, the way he hadn't taken what he easily could have on our mating night. I think you're trying very hard to be something you don't even like anymore. I said that. And I don't know why. He looked at me then with something like surprise and relief. Border ahead, one of the patrol wolves called. A scent hit us on the wind. Rot, blood, rogues. All at once, Rafe's Playboy mask burned away, leaving the warrior underneath. He snapped orders, his voice all steel and command. The wolves shifted, fur and teeth and loyalty racing into the tree line. He glanced at me. Stay behind me. If anything gets close, you run. Bristled. I can fight. You're pregnant, he'd said bluntly. You can run. Before I could argue, the first rogue lunged from the shadows. Everything dissolved into movement. Claws, snarls, flashes of teeth. Rafe shifted mid-stride, his wolf huge and dark, crashing into the attacker with a roar that shook my bones. He fought like someone who wasn't sure he deserved to live unless he outbled the monsters trying to kill us. When it was over, 3 rogues lay broken in the dirt. 2 patrol wolves limped, bleeding but alive. Rafe's side was torn open, fur matted with crimson. He shifted back, bare and bloody, breath heaving. Alpha, you're... One of the guards began. I'm fine, Rafe snapped. Then his gaze fell on me. Lyra? My legs trembled. My stomach churned. I'd seen blood before. I'd seen fights. But seeing him hurt, him, the man whose name shielded my unborn child, made something primal inside me claw to the surface. I stepped toward him without thinking, pressing a hand to his side. Warm, sticky blood soaked my fingers. You call this fine? I demanded. He stared at me, startled by the anger, by the way my voice shook. The healer's waiting back at the house, I abadumna. You're not walking there alone. He smirked weakly. You going to carry me, Luna? Try me. He let me tuck myself under his arm, supporting some of his weight as we walked back through the trees. His blood soaked into my shirt. My heartbeat thudded against his ribs. Our scents tangled in the cool night air. My wolf, usually quiet and wary, pressed against my skin with a thought that made my breath catch. Mine. Not just the baby. Not just the safety. Him. And for the first time I wondered if the price he'd asked for had been less about politics and more about survival. The attack changed things. The pack saw the heir Alpha bleed for them. They saw their Luna with her hand on his wound, face pale and furious. The whispers shifted. They look right together. He could have chosen anyone. She must mean something. I tried not to listen. I tried to focus on healers and patrol rotations and the slow curve of my belly in the mirror. One night, unable to sleep, I padded toward the kitchen for tea. Voices drifted from Rafe's office, low, urgent. I should have turned away. I didn't. Can't keep this up forever, his beta Jax was saying. The council wants answers. They want a formal declaration. Who fathered the child, Rafe? You know who they'll name if I say nothing? Rafe replied. His voice was tight. They'll drag Kale in chains. They'll brand Lyra as damaged goods. They'll try to force her into some old councillor bed to bind her loyalty. And you? Jax asked. Why did you really do it? Don't say for the pack. Not only. Silence. My heart hammered. When my father died, Rafe said slowly, I watched the council circle my family like vultures. They would have mated my mother to whoever they chose if she hadn't already been bound. They don't see women like Lyra as people, they see them as chess pieces, breeding stock. He exhaled a sound of pure disgust. I saw her at the cafe, he went on. Saw Kale hand our laws her throat on a silver platter. Saw her put a hand over her stomach like she already knew she'd lose everything for loving the wrong man. I knew exactly what the council would do to her. To the child. You could have intervened without mating her? Jack said. You could have... I could have made myself her savior, Rafe cut in, and she would have spent the rest of her life wondering what I'd demand in return. This way, the price is clear. I take their blame. I take their suspicion, and the child gets my name. He laughed then, but it was hollow. Besides, it's not as if I deserved a clean Luna anyway. The words hit like a physical blow. So that's what he thought. To him, I was ruined goods wrapped in his tarnished reputation. A mutually beneficial scandal. And you haven't touched her, Jack said. At all? No, Rafe said. I won't take what started with another man's promises. She's your mate, Jax argued. Bond or not, your wolf. My wolf! Rafe snapped. Knows what it's like to lose a mother to a bond she never wanted. Silence dropped, heavy as stone. I won't be that man. He finished quietly. I staggered back from the door, heart pounding, throat tight. He wasn't punishing me. He was protecting me from himself. Later that week, the council demanded a formal audience. Rafe, Luna at his side, child in my belly, and Kale in the room with his human mate trembling beside him. Perfect storm. Alpha Vale, Elder Rowan said, voice sharp. We require clarity. Did you or did you not claim a wolf already bound to another? Rafe's hand found mine under the table, warm and steady. Lyra was never bound, he said. Cale broke his vow before the mating mark was placed. She was free. I claimed a wolf my pack had failed. Murmurs. And the child? Another elder pressed. Rafe's grip tightened. I felt every eye in the room burn through my skin. The child is mine, Rafe said calmly. In every way that matters. Cale flinched. Is that the truth? Rowan asked, gaze spearing me. I remembered Rafe's price. The one I had agreed to in a room that smelled of smoke and sharp choices. Yes, I said. The child belongs to the Alpha. To the pack. Not to Kael, not anymore. Kael surged to his feet. Lyra, you don't have to... Rafe was on his feet before anyone could blink, aura blasting through the chamber like a storm wall. You had your chance, he snarled. You chose your fated mate. You don't get to claim the parts of Lyra that are convenient and abandon the rest. Sit down. Power crackled through the air. Cale sat, chest heaving, jaw clenched. His human mate clutched his hand, eyes wide and terrified. Alpha Vale, Rowan said slowly. If you take responsibility for this child, it will be treated as your blood, as air. There is no reversing that. I know, Rafe said. And if your Luna bears you other children? They'll be its siblings, he snapped, not its competition. The elders exchanged glances. Very well, Rowan said at last. We will accept this arrangement. For now. When the session ended, wolves spilled from the room in tense groups. Glares, whispers. Kael caught up to me in the corridor, breathless. Lyra, please, we need to talk. I turned, exhaustion burning through my bones. There's nothing left to say, Kael. I didn't know you were pregnant, he insisted. If I had... What? I cut in. You would have stayed. Given up your fated mate. Spent the rest of your life resenting me every time you looked at our child. He flinched. I'm not the one paying the price, I said. You are. You lost us both. That's on you. Rafe appeared at my side then, silent as a shadow, hands sliding to the small of my back. Is this man harassing my Luna? He asked mildly. Kael's jaw flexed. I just wanted... You wanted, Rafe said softly, to have your miracle bond and your safety net. Life doesn't work like that. He stepped closer, voice dropping low, just for Kael. You abandoned her with your unborn child, Rafe said. Remember that the next time you look at my heir. He guided me away before Kael could answer. My legs trembled, my eyes burned. You didn't have to do that, I whispered. Yes, Rafe said. I did. Because it's your price. He stopped in the empty hallway, turning me to face him. His eyes searched my face like he was trying to memorize every regret. Because it's my choice, he said quietly. And I'm tired of being the man who runs from those. I went into labor during a storm. Lightning split the sky, thunder rattled the windows. The pack house buzzed with a frantic movement. Healers and omegas and my stepmother all shouting contradictory instructions. Breathe, Lyra, the midwife encouraged. You're doing fine. I was not doing fine. Pain yanked me inside out, Sweat soaked my hair. Somewhere in the chaos, I heard Jax cursing and someone muttering that the Alpha was going to tear the walls down if they didn't let him in. "Keep him out," I gasped. "He doesn't need to see me like this." The midwife smirked. "He's the father. He can see whatever he likes." Another contraction slammed through me. I screamed, gripping the sheets and thinking, this is the real price. Not the laws, not the ceremonies. This, tearing myself open to bring a life into a world that had already tried to bargain it away. Hours blurred. And then, a cry. Small, furious, perfect. "Congratulations, Luna," the midwife said gently, laying a warm, squirming bundle on my chest. "It's a girl?" My heart cracked wide open. She was tiny, dark hair, fists balled, mouth open in protest at existence. "Hi," I whispered, tears spilling free at last. "Hi, little wolf." The door burst open. Rafe stood there, hair soaked from the rain, shirt half-buttoned, chest heaving like he'd run the whole forest. His eyes went immediately to us, me, limp and tear-streaked, the baby, wailing. He froze. For the first time since I'd known him, the Playboy Alpha looked utterly undone. "Can I?" His voice broke. He cleared his throat. "Can I come in, Teds?" The midwife rolled her eyes. "Finally." "Yes, Alpha. Try not to faint." He approached slowly, as if afraid we'd vanish. When he reached the bed, he looked at our daughter like she was a miracle he'd never planned for and didn't know how to survive. "She's..." He swallowed. "Lyra. She's... loud," I said hoarsely. "Like her father." He huffed out a shaky laugh. "Here," I said, lifting our child toward him. "Meet the person you demanded as your price." He hesitated, then carefully scooped her into his arms, cradling her like something sacred and terrifying. The crying stopped. Just stopped. She blinked up at him, hiccuping, tiny fingers flexing against his chest. His aura, always so big and heavy, softened to a warm hum. "Hey," he whispered. "Little Storm." My heart clenched. "Storm?" I croaked. He smiled faintly, eyes never leaving her face. "She came in with one. She'll probably drag a few with her wherever she goes." He stood there for a long time, just staring at her, his thumb brushing her cheek. The playboy, the warrior, the alpha, all stripped away until there was just a man holding his daughter. His, in every way that mattered. Later. When the house was quiet and the healers had gone and my stepmother had finally stopped fussing, Rafe sat on the edge of my bed. Storm slept in the bassinet beside us, tiny chest rising and falling. "You kept your word," I said. He frowned. "Which one?" "You didn't let them take hers as..." His gaze softened. "There was never a universe where I let that happen." "And I kept yours," I aired. "I never told anyone about Kale." His jaw tightened briefly, then eased. "You don't owe me that anymore." "Yes," I said. "I do. It was the price I agreed." Rafe was quiet for a moment. Then he turned fully toward me, fresh and serious in a way that made my pulse jump. "There is one more price," he said. My stomach dipped. What now? Haven't we both given enough? He huffed a humorless laugh. Probably. But I'm selfish. I want more. His hand reached for mine, fingers curling carefully, like he was afraid I'd pull away. I want you to stop pretending this is just a contract, he said softly. I want you to stop talking about the child like she isn't ours. I want you to stop looking at me like I'm a temporary shield you'll shed when it feels safe. His eyes shimmered gold in the dim light. I want you, he said. Not as the woman I dragged into scandal. Not as the mother of my heir. As my mate. My breath caught. Rafe! I know I don't deserve it, he continued, voice rough. I know I was a coward who hid behind rumors and lovers, because it was easier than letting anyone close enough to see the damage. But I am trying to be a man who is worthy of the Luna he claimed. He squeezed my hand. Just once. So here's my last price, Lyra Hale, he said. Stay. Not because you have to, because you want to. Silence wrapped around us, thick and fragile. My wolf pressed against my skin, eyes full of a truth I'd been burying under fear and old promises. Ours, she whispered. I reached out, fingers brushing his jaw, tracing the stubble there, the scar along his cheekbone I'd seen in 100 different lights. I already paid it, I said quietly. Somewhere between your stupid jokes and your bloody shirts and the way you stood between me and the council. Somewhere between my first kick and the way you looked at her just now. His breath hitched. I stayed, I said, even when I wanted to run, even when it hurt. I stayed. And I'm done pretending it's only for Herb Tool. Rafe's shoulders sagged, as if a weight he'd been carrying since he took the alpha mantle finally slipped. He leaned in slowly, giving me time to pull back. I didn't. Our lips met, softly this time. Not the desperate crash of bodies pushed together by circumstance, but the careful, reverent touch of two people choosing the same future. When we parted, Storm stirred, letting out a soft complaint. Rafe smiled against my forehead, jealous already. She gets it from you, I murmured. He chuckled, then sobered. I don't know how to do this right, he admitted. I'll mess up. I'll say the wrong thing. I'll work too late. I'll scare counselors and forget birthdays. Good, I said. Then we'll both be learning. He rested his head against mine. We, I confirmed. You, me, and the little storm you demanded as your price. Outside, thunder rumbled one last time, far away now, rolling over the hills like a closing chapter. Inside, my world finally stopped feeling like a debt and started feeling like a home. He may have saved me by demanding a price for my unborn child. But in the end, the only thing he truly took was my heart. And I gave that to him freely.